Jake Harris here from Ground Up Nutrition. You're checking out Ground Up TV. I'm going to just knock out another quick video today. Won't be a viewer question. That'll be during the week. I'll post another one during the week. Answering questions and stuff like that. Today I'm just going to talk quickly about carbohydrate metabolism, how when you ingest food, how it goes into your body, how it gets absorbed, and stuff like that. And so we'll look at carbohydrates specifically because that's generally the variable that we find in these sort of populations that we need to get these systems back on track. So looking at carbohydrates and what happens when we ingest those in our body. Basically, the first thing we need to do is make sure that these carbohydrates can be broken down by the stomach. So broken down into small particles or small blocks, I guess, that the body can then absorb. So we need the right enzymes to kind of make that work. So that's the first thing we need to deal with. The second thing that happens is that we need to get these carbohydrates. When we ingest carbohydrates, our body turns them into smaller blocks. So polysaccharides, monosaccharides, that sort of thing. But essentially these then get turned into, into glucose to then be stored as glycogen in our muscles. So basically glycogen is muscle fuel. So if you think about it, it's energy for our muscles. So we want to get as much glycogen into our muscles as we can. So we've got as much energy that we need next time when we go to exercise or work out, something like that. So how that happens is if you think about your muscle cells as like a nightclub, for example, and a nightclub has a security guard at the front of the door, and so the security guard dictates whether or not this person gets in, this person doesn't, stops people coming in when the club gets full. And basically we're looking at the same sort of, idea when we're looking at carbohydrate metabolism. So when we ingest carbohydrates, our pancreas secretes insulin, and then insulin is kind of like the shuttle, like the carrier of the carbohydrates into our muscle cells. So if you think about kind of like going to the airport and getting like a shuttle bus, we get into the shuttle bus takes us to where we need to go. It's essentially what the same thing does with insulin. So on our muscle cells we have these things called insulin receptors or receptors. So these are the things that they see the insulin that's kind of shuttling the carbohydrates through the bloodstream, and then just kind of grabs them from the bloodstream and just kind of brings them into our cells. So that's when everything's working properly. Okay, so we ingest carbohydrates, they get broken down, body secretes insulin. Insulin then picks up all the glucose running through your bloodstream. Then the cells, your muscle cells, kind of pick up on the insulin. They receive the insulin that's carrying the nutrients inside. So that's how it works. So what happens is that when we ingest too much carbohydrates over time, these receptors, they kind of get tired, sort of thing. Like they say, look, nah, we've had enough. We don't need it to bring any more insulin inside this cell. It's full. We don't need any more. So then what happens is that we then get large amounts of circulating insulin and carbohydrates going through our blood with no place to go. So then it essentially gets stored as body fat. So that's what happens when we kind of look. That's why we look at carbohydrates as well as a variable, because oftentimes an overconsumption of carbohydrates is what has occurred, basically, especially in the overweight population. So when you think about it like that, the idea of calories in versus calories out, it's somewhat kind of doesn't quite fit. That it is still the major dictator, I guess, when we're looking at fat loss and stuff like that. But I mean, if certain nutrients aren't getting absorbed, well then that it doesn't quite work that way. So first thing we need to do is just get things back on track, make sure that everything's functioning properly, that we're getting these nutrients that we need into the cells that's required, and we don't have any leftovers circulating around to be stored as body fat. So yeah, thanks guys, thanks for that. I'll hopefully have a blog post coming soon that kind of puts a little bit more detail on that, but that's basically the breakdown of how carbohydrates affect your body and stuff like that. So thanks guys, see you on Wednesday.